Alright guys, making this video to catch you guys up as to what I've been doing since we've gotten out of school and stuff. I've kept on working on things, I'm sure you all have. One of the things like we were talking about in the Facebook chat is that I know we all learn Maya in college and stuff, but when it comes down to making money on indie games, you gotta pay for the least amount of licenses as possible, and so I switched over to Blender for the open sourciness. So like the background you're seeing right here is that's the car I made in Maya and imported it all in through Blender, and that's it through a toon shader. And you know, I was talking to other people about Blender, and they wanted to see a the Grateful Dead bear done in Blender, and so I did a version of that too. You can rotate it around. It's all outlined and solid fill shader. And one of the things that initially intrigued me about Blender was the Cycles engine. That was something that was a project outside that eventually got brought into Blender, that it simulated light bouncing around just like Maya did, but like it did it like Maya. It wasn't a point ray render where, you know, shadows were hard. Now things about, you know, light bounces around, you make excellent ambient occlusion maps. And so one of the things that since it was a light rendering engine that, you know, was called Cycles, it was almost kind of subliminal that I made a light cycle to play around with it. So I made that, made things glow, made things shiny, bounced a bunch of light around. So that was fun. Backside there, you can see in the middle there's actually a tube of light connecting the whole thing, almost like an axle of power or something like that. And I did other things, like I played with the amount of shininess. Sometimes things were dull, and I played with the different colors. I made these nice and glassy too. And then I went back on that car that we saw at the beginning, the muscle car, and I did all that in the Cycles engine, and this is all in Blender. Displacement maps for the tires. The interior was supposed to look kind of velvety. In a high-res version, the interior looks like it's almost like in a fake leather or something like that. I even modeled the stitching on there. You can see the translucency of the tanks on the left, and on the high detail stuff, you can see that there's an air filter there that I did completely through the Node engine. Yeah. So I did that, and I did other things too. That was just a quick animation just to get something shiny moving around, see what it looked like. So yeah, that's about it for catching up with Blender. After that, I went into Unity, and I started programming in that because it was just, to me, the coding was a lot like ActionScript, which is what, you know, I was doing in college. So this game right here, it's actually a Space Invaders clone, and you go, you know, left and right, you hit the Z key to shoot. And, you know, they come down faster and faster, and they shoot you. It hurts you. You can see you got your 2 lives on the left. You got your health. You have you know, all sorts of stats. So yeah, this was the first game I made where it was like I made a game. Ooh. And yeah, so one of the things I didn't like about this game is how stiff and rigid it was. You know, everything in the basic coding teaches you, you know, like, you know, key press down equals X plus whatever. And when you're just going back and forth, it makes for very hard animation. So really, since I had a basic game down, what I wanted to do is I wanted to focus on getting something a bit smoother going around. So that's when I start my next project. Open. All right. So this here is my Star Fox clone. This was the other game you saw that was also a PC game. I wanted to try to get things onto mobile, as I've talked to you guys about a couple times now, and so this was the first game that I got onto my Android, and the touch interface and everything I wrote the code for myself. You can see going down here. Touch. Alright. I have the buttons loaded in a script up here. And this is all, listening for events for touches and doing math for how that comes into analog for the joystick and for, input for firing the cannons. And so also what I did here is when I hit play, this is set up by touch controls right now, so I am controlling this. I have my my old phone. It's an LG Thrill. It's a, let's see, what was it? It was a 1 gigahertz phone, dual core, 512 megs RAM. And so this is connected via remote, and you can see the joystick on the left and the buttons on the right. Yeah, let me try this one more time. Let's see. Yeah, so right now it's just the cannons that work. The button on the right is supposed to be for bombs and stuff, like in the original Star Fox. One thing that was different in this game versus the other one is before I had projectiles, they just died after a certain amount of time. In this code, this was the first time I started recycling projectiles. Instead of always creating one and destroying one, it's created once at the beginning of the round. It's usually a cache of like say 20 or something like that. And when you push the button, they move. Their renders are turned off. They move to the ship. They turn on the render and fire. And after they go so far, after such amount of time, they don't get destroyed. What happens is you turn the render back off and you move it back to the ship again. And you can see it has a health bar in the top right corner and 3 lives. It keeps track of how many times, how many space aliens you've shot. And really, this thing doesn't need a whole lot. It needs a little bit more on the controls. Like I said, bombs, I have empty functions in for doing barrel rolls and stuff that I haven't actually put into working condition. And the map is really plain. I want to have buildings. Right now, the way it works is it's a certain amount of blocks, and I want each block to have different types of buildings, and maybe have 20 different types of blocks and have them come at you in different rotations and stuff like that. And really, it's just meant to pick out, see how post a high score and see what we can get online. Just something to play real quick. That's reminiscent of the old Star Fox. Like I said, it was for me to initially focus on getting a game onto the Android and starting with touch. The project I did after that, for some reason, I have lost. Really what it was I saw, let's start this. A lot of people, very famous game, it was Skyrim. And I played that, and just like all the Bethesda games that had a lock-picking mechanism. And after seeing it for so long, I thought I could pick it apart with the code. So I wanted to make my own stab at making a lock-picking game. I saw it as a way to do some more logic puzzle game, and really focus on touch, because this dealt with rotations. On the PC, you did a lot with the mouse, and here I was doing it with touch, which was a different experience. Also, I had access to the vibration of the phone, so I wanted it in, when things clicked inside of the tumbler, when you were playing it on Skyrim, it just made a sound, but I wanted you to feel it as you were touching the phone. When there was a click, there was a little pulse of the vibrator. So, yeah, I can start that over here. Second part. That video is 6 minutes long. Actually no, that video is 20 minutes long. Actually, these first two videos are 20 minutes long, and really they were the first maybe week building this game. It really stopped when I don't know. I kind of I found the mechanism. I built it just like it was in Skyrim. Only my version. Locks nowadays have more than one tumbler, more than one pin in them that you have to release. So my lock was actually three pins deep, and you had to go back and forth, and it depended on the amount of pressure that you put on the torque wrench. That affected the health of the actual lock pick, and so the more torque you put on it, you'd feel the vibration even more. So it was easier to find, but you'd kill your pick faster. And so that's how I wanted it to go. But once again, once I found the basic mechanism, I was happy with it, and that's when I move on to other things. While you're coding things, and you go through things more and more, you get ideas for more and more games. And so since I found out the basic mechanism for this, I couldn't think of a solid way to turn this into a standalone game. So I don't know, I figured I'd try to slip this into something else somewhere down the line, that now I have this under my belt, that I know how to make something like this. Let's see if I can skip these through. Here's the second thing. Yeah, here you can see it in Unity. Going back and forth, just measuring touches with the remote, getting feedback through the console. Failing a lot, rewriting a lot more. Yeah, you can see it there. You can see the tumbler working independently of the pick. I'm working both of those by touch. Eventually I want the torque wrench will be applied. Here you can see I had samples online, but I changed the colors of the door and stuff. I was just really using the pictures from the door for kind of a texture, something to apply, maybe for a bump map or something like that. Changed the color of it. Did the wallpaper, dirtied it up. Took a sample and made it, very stretchable, repeatable. And like I said, it's very sad. I don't know what happened to this project file, so this project folder. So this is gone. I still have all the assets from it, but I have none of the coding or anything like that. And after that, let's see. Moved on to our next project. Alright, so little explanation behind this one. A friend at work had, I was playing around with the code and stuff, probably my door lock, and he was talking about Call of Duty. He's a big Call of Duty fan. And he said, one day I want to see a game where you're actually pointing your controller at the screen and you pull the trigger and you're actually shooting the person. And I've been reading up on a lot of plugins for Unity and stuff, and I thought I could come up with something. I thought, like, by adding a little bit of code, I could come up with something basic, very quick, that you could use your controller to actually point at your target, pull the trigger, and fire. You can actually aim at what you want to shoot at with the controller and see it on screen. So actually for this part, I'm going to switch over to recording with my phone, you know, on some
Alright, so I'm on a tablet right now. This is the Galaxy Tab 10.1. Just to show the model number that I'm using, the SMT530NU. If we go, I can pull up some specs on that. Oh. So if you look at it, it's a tablet with 1.5 gigs of RAM, and the CPU is a 1.2 gigahertz quad core, so it's all right. Now, if we come in here, go into my games, and we're coming into the next game I did for that point and shoot game that I was talking about was George's Alley. So this is a Unity game that's using the camera. As you can see right here, I have $1 on the table. It's plain dollar. Pull it out of your pocket. See it on the screen. It's real time. Now in the top corner, you can see that there's that little sign that it can see the dollar. If I take the dollar out of the view, on the top left here, it goes X, no dollar. So in order for this to work, it actually needs to see $1 here on the table. Now it's augmented reality, so really what's happening is it's tracking that dollar. It can actually see that dollar and know where it is. So what I'm doing is basing a game off of that. So if we hit the spacebar to start it, you see this conveyor pops out, and George Washington heads start popping out. And there's a crosshair. Oh, the button's over here. I'm sorry. There's a crosshair in the middle that you have to aim and shoot with. You see the coins here popping out. It's for however many in a row. That's how many coins you're gonna get. Once the streak's ended, it's supposed to start over. Right now there's a bug with the coins that I never figured out. That's using a particle system there too. So also, like I was using for my remote there, I have a LG Thrill here too. See the model number to look that up. You need for the specs. This is a dual core, 1 gigahertz, and it has 500 megs, 512 megs RAM. And so this phone's a couple years old now. And if we run the same game here, takes a little bit longer to load. You can see this sees the dollar too. Let me get a close up on it. There it is. So we're gonna hit the option button. It starts now. See the conveyor pop out. We hit the George Washingtons. So really it's tracking the dollar. You see that it tracks it pretty good. From different angles. I have a bright light over here. Hold on. You're fine without that on. Once we needs to get it to track again. Needs to focus on the dollar. Come on. Can't catch it yet. I have very crappy lighting around here. There we go. Once it catches onto the track, it can hold it pretty good. Back here at the tablet, we can see. You see, if we move it around over here, that's real time. As it focuses, move it around and it tracks it pretty good. So really, this was that simple game where you can take the controller. Again, it's in a case that's hard to do. And it's just because of my crappy lighting right now, like I said. But you're using the controller to point and shoot. This will get faster and faster. And you're like, well, that's pretty easy because you can just hold it here. Just keep on shooting. But you can see the conveyor belt actually gets faster. The drawers pop out, come down a lot faster. And eventually, if you get however many in a row, I forget how many I set. Oh no, it's going to reset. Crap. So anyways, if you get so however many in a row, back here, behind the dollar bill, another conveyor pops up, only it's going in the opposite direction behind it. So now you have two contrast in opposite directions, so it's hard to hit. And after that level, after you get so many in a row from there, another one pops up in front. Once again, this is a game that's supposed to, just be able to, you pull it out of your pocket. Everyone has, can have a buck on them. Something you're able to track anywhere, play for a couple minutes, put it back in your pocket. Now, on to the other thing. Hold on, let me just pause this and restart this video for a second. Okay, so now, since we had a basic game right here that could, once again, pretty easily be finished, just needs a menu system to get to where you're going, and maybe some more degrees of difficulty, some obviously sound. I want to take this somewhere else. Once again, like as you're playing with it, you realize that it can do more and more things. So I kind of dropped this game off where it was. Once again, just as a coding achievement. I used Playmaker with this one. It's a finite state engine. It's kind of a way to keep track of what state your game is in. It was all right, but I don't know if I'd want to use it in every one of my games. So after this. We were talking about the tower defense game, and with the tower defense game, Tower D is what we're calling it right now. I started that with this over here. It actually started off as a small cardboard. It was the little cardboard insert in like the ho-hos. I turned around and drew this on the back of it because augmented reality really what it needs is non-repeating pattern with high contrast. So I drew this thing on the back of a card and I was trying to track it, which it worked really good. But the thing is, it was just way too small. So I actually scanned it, printed it out on paper. Now, if we take the dollar bill out, if we take the dollar bill out and put that there, we're going to launch Tower D. Alright, so this is doing the same thing. There's two versions of this, actually. Yeah, there's two versions of this. One version, it's because it updated, and I updated Unity but did not update the augmented reality, so that caused some errors. So right now, like you saw George Washington with that there was the background. The background's not working right now. It's because Unity update. I got to go back and fix this. But right now you can see I got towers working, and I don't know if you guys remember my dog Boston, but I had a little animation of my dog running. So really, this is multiples and multiples. Let's see if I can move this without wrecking it too much. As you get in closer and closer, you can see that the ballista's shooting. This little versions of my dog. And once again, the dogs are being recycled. Every time you kill them, you don't actually destroy them. You turn off the mesh renderer. You add it back to a queue back at the beginning, and it gets added to an array and gets popped out at the end when it's called on again. So everything's recycled. The memory's it's all loaded once. You don't have to load things over and over again, so it's more efficient, and you're not using up a lot of memory. So once again, you can see how it tracks really good. Once again, even on this old phone, wake up. This has the old version of the APK on it, something that wasn't saved over. So with this version, you do get the video background. Well, the spawning dogs are not working. So really there's nothing running around the map like before, but you still can't place them. So really, when you come in here, we have it so you can place them anywhere on the map. All you gotta do is touch on the screen and it'll go where the crosshair is placing it. And unfortunately, with this version, there are no bad guys, so they will not track and lock. But since this phone's a little bit easier to maneuver than the tablet, I can get in a bit closer. And that's the twist on the tower defense. You know how you're talking about with your game, you choose your role by your skill points. In this one, you control the camera with your arm. So right now, this pattern that we're using for the background can go to anything. Hopefully at some point I can even get that to the back of a dollar bill as well. I like doing that because nobody has to carry around some stupid paper, or eventually I'm sure there'll be some advertisement on there or something like that, but nobody wants to carry that around. Or I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of room for advertising there, but at any rate, $1's easy to get. You track onto $1 with this, and you can play this game anywhere just as long as you have a decently lit area and a little bit of room to actually move around. You said this is a 1 gigahertz dual core. That's pretty good. For the, still running pretty good for the amount of ballistas we're putting on the map here. Right now I have a node path system, so you can see how the paths come through. We're planning on doing gates that you can block off. The node path system that I had before was going to be smart. The gates, it was going to know the state of the gates and know how to, it was going to know how to uh, redirect the traffic if the gates were closed, and not all the gates could be closed at the same time. So, and once again, we're doing 3D, we're doing medieval right now, but we're open to change the art to anything. The hook right here is the AR. Um, Ty was talking about making maybe space fights. That may be possible with something like this, where this is happening because of a error right now, but it can easily be once it's updated. I was reading that um, once it's updated, the camera background can be turned on and off freely. So maybe by turning off the background, we can make a space fight, put stars in the background. Uh, but yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna end this here.